Welcome guys to a brand new year. Now I think I said in my last video or maybe in a social post that I'm going to be making some changes going into 2023. Mainly centered around dialing back some of the traveling, quite a bit less of the stuff that didn't feel like a good use of my time, and doubling down on the stuff that was a lot of fun, made good content, and made sense for the time that it took. I asked you guys for some input on my members section, and the three main takeaways that I got from what you guys liked of this past year was collabs, technical content like Johan building the headers and being involved with builds, and then a combination of like lap time content but also based around technical detail like performance of a car, improvements, chassis setup. So I look forward to taking that into consideration as well as any comments you guys might leave below. In the end of the day, I'm always gonna make content that's fun to make, but if we can tailor it to be more enjoyable for you guys, then everybody wins. Not planning on doing any lap times today, and I think we got our fair share of collabs last month, so today we're gonna be diving into the technical side and back into the 4-rotor A90 Supra that is targeted to be running and driving this weekend, so there's a lot of little things to button up. But before I get into that, I'm sure you guys have all heard the news about Ken Block passing away, and although I didn't know him personally, a lot of my friends did, and I've heard nothing but great things about him as a business owner, as a driver, and as a person. The early Gymkhana videos he made were definitely a part of inspiring me on my automotive journey, and what he created with DC Shoes, Hoonigan, the Gymkhana series, all are huge inspirations towards where I've wanted to go in the future. I've always been amazed by what he's accomplished with DC Shoes, Hoonigan, the Gymkhana series, and those have all also been massive inspiration for me and my journey. I personally think that he has had more of an impact on the automotive culture of our generation than any other person in the world, and I feel confident in speaking for everyone saying that he will be missed greatly. All right, I owe you guys a Supra update, and we're gonna start off in the fab area. I'm pretty sure I showed you guys a new setup in here. It's pretty rad, and Johan has been making use of some of our tools for the Supra build. Here we've got our stomp shear, and here we've got our brake, and I actually missed Johan making the shroud for the Supra, but it is coming out fantastic. And I can't wait to see what it looks like on there.
Yeah, we'll put it on. We gotta get some hardware for the radiator. It has some push-on nostrils. When we put on the car, we could then place the water pump, power stream pump, and then from there just make lines.
Car's got a lot done since you guys last seen an update, so I'm excited to show you guys. This radiator, I believe Johan was an out-of-the-box setup, right? And then you just modified this as well as added that fitting on there?
Yeah, so this was tilted to the side. It's meant for like LS V8 cars. And then this is just like a fitting that it was welded on when I was gone. But it's out of the box. All you gotta do is make mounts for it and a shroud.
If you can remember me making a shroud over at Grant's house for my JZX100 Chaser, you know I'm a big shroud guy, but it definitely didn't come out as nice as that. Mine was just a thin plate of sheet metal, and I like bolted some random things to it, but it worked.
Hey, for being out of your comfort zone and somewhere you're not working out of, that's, I mean, it works.
It gets the job done, you know? Yep. Boom, just like that. This table also is new in here. If you recognize it, this was an old stinky table that came with the place that was huge. It was like twice the length, and we actually got a plasma cutter just to be able to cut the table in half. So this thing kept going like forever. So it looks like it works out pretty well.
Yeah.
One of the more complicated things that's been going on in this car is the wiring. So this car, as you remember, has the ECU Master PDM, and both Russ, who is still in town, and Scardig were working together to make sure everything worked properly. There's quite a bit of programming that comes into play. We've now got ignition working, fuel working, headlights is kind of a whole nother story that I need to explain. Everything configured from power steering, start, fans. But one of the tricky things with these headlights is they have some pretty complex CAN messaging that it takes to turn them on to be able to actuate as headlights and switch between highs, lows, turn signals. So we are hoping that we can get a hold of someone who made a little box that was used on Osbo's car to control these headlights to make a box for us, because I guess the CAN messaging coming from the ECU may not be possible unless we had like a full Motec setup. So it's not your normal CAN messaging, and I guess it's some fancy, I don't know, CAN stuff is like a foreign language to me, and I'm trying to learn and grasp a little bit more, but right now I don't grasp much. Another thing that I think I showed on my story, like this has happened now 2 times. So Johan mentioned to me, he's like, you know HGK makes a carbon Kevlar headlight bracket, right? And I was like, no, I had no idea. And then I was just for the heck of it, I went on my little Shopify app and I was like, I wonder if we have them in stock at Drift HQ. And sure enough, we had a few sets in stock. So like, I was literally able to walk over next door and grab carbon Kevlar headlight brackets for an A90 Supra. What are the odds of that?
Yeah, you drill them out, you make a hole for the harness to go through, and then they bolt right up. They're meant to be used with the HGK kit, but just some minor tweaking on the stock bumper. We could use this to support the stock bumper. And then of course the headlight mounts in here. And
saved us a few hours of fab, and it looks pretty cool. And then also in similar fashion, we were looking at the roof of the car because we need to repaint it. When the cage was being done, some of the paint got burned on top. And I was like, Johan, I wish that someone made a carbon roof for these things. And again, he was like, HGK makes it. So again, I pull out my phone, I look, we've got like, was it 6 carbon fiber roofs in stock for the A90 Supra? So it looks like it's actually gonna be a really easy install. I think Johan said he's gonna try it on his car first.
yeah, I just need the cage before I do it so I could take advantage of not having the roof.
True.
There. But yeah, I would do it on mine to show Adam that it's simple. I mean, Randy and I did the 36 in about 2.5, 3 hours.
And this one looks way easier too.
Yeah, this one's more bolt-in or plug and play.
Because of the fact it has these trim things where the E36 doesn't, and the E36 had to be molded, this one should hopefully just be like spot welds, pop in, and who knows, maybe it'll become one of those things where people will put them on street cars too, and you know, you can come over to Drift HQ and buy them, along with all the other HGK stuff we have in stock, carbon Kevlar body kits, modified subframes, the whole 9 yards, you name it. The bumper's not on right now, so I can't show you entirely, but I'm pretty happy with these oil cooler brackets that Johan made and how they came out. This thing has 2 giant oil coolers. So both of these in the front, in addition to being dry sumped with a huge amount of oil, should hopefully ensure that we won't have crazy high oil temps, because this thing is planning to be revved over 10,000 RPM. What's cool too, if you remember back in the A90 Supra days, everyone talks about how there's fake vents everywhere. There's actually vents that will be in the way that don't have any air running through them up here, but I think we'll be able to either have something made or cut into this to be able to have proper ventilation on both sides, passing straight through to the oil coolers. Usually on drift cars, we'll tend to put the oil coolers behind the radiator or in the center. This car is kind of going to be used for drifting and circuit use, but I want to make sure the coolant temps are as cool as possible, and this spacing kind of just worked out too well. So they will be here. You know, the one thing with the drift car, you just have to be mindful if you do have a front end impact to check to make sure you're not leaking oil all over the place since the cooler's in the front. But like, it's quite rigid, and the fact that it's mounted to this crash support should allow it to flex some, versus if it was mounted to the chassis, then there's an impact and then something breaks. This having 1 bolt down here instead of 2 will also allow, if there is an impact for whatever reason, it should be able to rotate and bend a little bit here instead of having 2 bolts and just breaking this tab off the cooler completely. Got a rear brake setup on the car now. We actually have Willwoods on this car. We use their 4-piston calipers because the ones that were intended to work with the WiseFab setup is a factory BMW caliper. They're kind of hard to find, kind of expensive, and instead we've got nice new Willwood calipers. We just had to get some custom brackets machined that Ginge designed, right?
Yep.
Shout out Ginge.
Yep, Ginge, I gave him the knuckle, the calipers that we were gonna use, using the 335 rotor, and then he...
Whoa. Did you say this car has 335i rotors on it?
Yeah.
Not E92, right?
It's in the same thing. E92.
Oh,
335
no.
is a BMW.
Oh,
it is
no.
a BMW.
Oh, no. Another cool thing too, Spoon did an amazing job on the fuel system, but we moved it over to the other side of the car utilizing some brackets that Radium actually makes for the A90. I'm just blown away at how many companies make parts for this car already, when like I feel like most people are just doing bolt-ons on it. So I already showed you guys how we have their whole top hat set up, but they have these brackets that are made and will let you run the fuel line over and on the chassis side away from the exhaust side that was over here. Before we had it routing up here, which works, but with the heat this thing's gonna see, it's better to have the fuel away and safe.
Shroud is made. We're waiting on hardware to mount it to the car or the radiator. But I gotta re-nutsert this so that the radiator sits flat against the stock ducting. Once this is in, then I could move on to the water pump, which ideally I wanted to have down here. I'm trying to stay away from the frame rail, but those are the 2 options. Keeps it away from everything that you can see, and it just keeps the engine bay clean and simple, even though we're gonna have a big ass power steering pump on this side. But yeah, that's what I'm doing next. We'll mount it and then move on from there to the water pump. how we're gonna do it. It gives us plenty of room to go up to the engine, and then on this side we'll have come out of the radiator and go into here. And then I could put a 45 here, another 45 there, or whatever fitting will fit.
Makes sense.
And then harness will be tucked away, or could go through there, sit tight to the back. It'll be away from the ground. The pump itself will be above this point. We hit the water pump. The water pump gets to the point where it's getting hit by something.
We have bigger problems.
Yeah, we got bigger problems. Like the front bumper is gonna be toast.
Yeah.
While Johan's working on making brackets, one of my tasks is to start dialing in the interior of the giveaway R33. If you remember, this car's on a standalone now, so a lot of these electronics aren't needed. This is actually like a controller for an old SAFC, and then this was something to do with like a knock sensor light. This gauge still does work, and this is actually an air-fuel ratio gauge, so I'm gonna keep it. And then this was an electric boost controller that's now controlled through the standalone ECU. I think it's cool, but there's no need to have all this useless stuff. So I'm gonna redo this, and you can see it's like super glued in. Yeah, that was actually pretty easy to remove. And I'm gonna delete all the stuff that isn't needed anymore and clean this up mega. A while ago, I actually ordered this carbon fiber that has red inlays in it for a previous project. So I think this will be pretty cool. Instead of just using ABS plastic, it'll look a little bit more fancy. And then this will kind of be recessed, and we'll figure out where to put the panel on that. So I was told by a specific Skyline guru that this is actually a factory piece that's worth a lot of money and is very rare. To me, it looks hydro dipped, but I guess this was like a factory option on some of the R33s and it's worth big money. You know, I would love to keep it, but I feel like it makes the giveaway car a little more special. So yeah, you guys can have it. Honestly, if it had the matching like center console shifter, I would probably keep it. So I've got my template. I'm gonna be smart though, and instead of putting this on here and scratching it up, I'm gonna cover this in masking tape. So when I'm using it on the router, I don't risk getting it all cut up. Who says safety glasses can't look cool? Heat wave safety glasses. We also have heat waves on our site. Great way to get entered for a chance to win the Skyline. You guys always yell at me for not having a mask when I'm cutting carbon fiber. I'm gonna go find a mask. Sir, in 2023, I'll fight.
All right, well, sir, where's my mask?
Yeah, this is a problem. All right, Mike, set the camera up, like, try to balance it here, and then you run away. Go over there, it'll be safe. Okay, okay.
Also, we have the big fancy saw, and you guys told me how to use it better, but I don't like it. I like my jigsaw. It looks okay. I just need to like sand down the edges a little bit. I only measured once, so I'm stoked. But it's like literally such a snug fit that I like don't even need to hold it. It's gonna make fixing it in there way easier.
You can take the mask off whenever, sir. Buddy.
You never can be too safe, Michael.
Live life on the edge.
Speaking of edges, that's what I'm worried about. This thing having like weird edges. Yeah, not bad. There's like kind of a weird edge here that I'm gonna see if I can sand out lightly. You can just see like the frays from where it was cut.
All right, so finally got the bracket for the water pump ready. They supplied this bracket, which then I made it fit to this bracket I bend up, which hugs this factory cross member. And so I put two nozzles on this side, so one there, and then two on top. So now, since this subframe is thicker than normal, I use a countersink like deburring bit. When you make holes like this, you deburt it and it gives you a nice surface and bolts don't catch. And I use that bit to countersink into the aluminum because it's pretty thick, so that when I put the nozzle in, the head of the nozzle, it'll be recessed on the actual metal. So you see, right now it's in there, and it's pretty much flat against the surface.
Just like the factory would do it.
Yeah, pretty much. There's the factory nuts are somewhere here. Yeah, there's one there. It actually pulls through. That's a factory nut cert, but it's like, I don't know, it's pulled on the material.
Better than factory then.
Better than factory.
There you go.
Other than air suspension, I've got 3 things to make the C4 great. One of them is turn the boost up, which I'm gonna do tomorrow. And for the full experience, number 2 is adding a cup holder and getting the radio to work. So I was able to order a direct fit replacement radio that still has a retro look that will have Bluetooth working, which I thought was pretty cool for this car. And I'm gonna take some measurements to see if I can get an insert to be able to have a cup like in this location or in this location. I just gotta figure out the depth just to make sure it's gonna fit. After way too long measuring, I found some inserts online that are made for like RVs or boats or even armrests for chairs, but the problem is they're all too deep. So I can only fit on the can like up to here, but most of them are for like up to here. It may work because there may be a little bit of extra deck height once this is installed, but Ginge is actually gonna make me a custom 3D printed one that I know will for sure work, and then I ordered a couple random ones on Amazon to test. I feel like the red was a bit much and we're gonna have some empty space to fill, so I figured I would mount it around here and then put a logo to fill this space. So inverted one of our new logos on the printer, and with some satin black vinyl, you should be able to see the red carbon through here and it should look really cool. Had to drill a little hole for the wire, and regrettably I wish I wrapped the piece first because I could have gotten a cleaner edge, but I still think it's gonna look pretty good. In case you guys wanna make any delete panels of your own, you can just go on Google and you can find dry carbon sheets, gloss carbon sheets, gloss carbon Kevlar sheets, in small sections fairly cheap. The sections that I used for the CRX, I think was about like 20 bucks. Came out super cool. Dry carbon bits I feel like kind of flow well with this. And then in here, the red carbon was a bit much, but I'm happy with how it looks, just kind of being an underlay. And although maybe some people would think it's just wrapped, I mean, I guess it is wrapped, but the carbon's not wrapped. Real carbon, wrap over it, just have a little subtle pop. And I'm pretty happy with how it came out. So videos like this are kind of tricky because there's no big crazy moment, there's no big thing that I can use for the title or the thumbnail, but I saw that you guys wanted more technical stuff, so we tried to get a little bit in more of the nitty gritty. That may have been grazed over if I just waited until the Supra started again, which is hopefully what you guys will see in the next video, along with the C4 getting turned up and all the other craziness going. I'm excited. All the parts for the giveaway R33 interior show up tomorrow, which means I can give Johan back his center console that I'm borrowing and the interior looking dialed, and then we can dive into the engine bay and get that thing perfect. As a reminder, every $5 you spend on LZMFG will get you entered for a chance to win that thing, and it's rad, and it's red, and I'll see you guys soon. But when you buy a Street Hunter wide body, you get this little plaque. Holy there's 363 of these in existence. Good job, TJ. That's a lot of body kits. Mike, we might be in the wrong business. John, you want to make wide bodies? I think I'm going to return this and make wide bodies.